Hi, my name's Dannielle Ashton and I'm the Director of Company, currently showing at the Old Mill Theatre in South Perth. Well, I've been involved with theatre for about 20 so years, and I started off as an actress, and over time and just different interests and different creative interests, I went into directing. I decided that I was sick of being on stage and I wanted to be able to have creative control. So yeah, I've now been directing for around about 5 years. I think obviously a lot of directors probably come from having an acting background, and I think it's a good thing to have an acting background as a director, because you can really understand where the actors are coming from and what the characters are, their subtext, and what drives them, what's their intention and things like that. I think that's really important to know. So there's also people that come from a technical background, which is still fine. It's usually a bit more of a visual direction. I like to direct from both a technical aspect and an actor aspect. I really like to balance it out. I definitely love to delve into character development, and I always make sure that I do character development before we start any blocking of scenes and things like that. But yeah, I also like to have a creative vision, and I think it's really important. Set design is extremely important for me, and everything needs to fit quite well together. So yeah, I like to have the overall picture sort of thing happening. Yeah. Well, Company is actually my first musical that I've directed. I currently assisted-directed Into the Woods last year, but Company is my first musical, so I am used to directing straight plays. So Company is more of, and the reason why I chose to do it is because it is a character-driven play or musical, and so therefore there's a lot of character development that you can do with it. Although, even though it is a character-driven play, there's not a lot of context. So we had to sort of delve in and make our own sort of stories in terms of where the characters come from and things like that. So that was great fun and really, really good to do. Company is something that can be translated into from any perspective. It was written in the late 60s. We're actually setting it in the late 60s because that's when Sondheim wrote it, or in George Firth, of course. But we feel as though, even though it is timeless, it's a timeless piece. I think definitely a lot of the issues that come out of the play are relevant to back then, and more so, even though they are still relevant to today. Companies, it surrounds the character Bobby, who is going through a bit of a midlife crisis, and so it's mainly based on relationships and all different types of relationships. And so the play has certain different characters there, and they're all mainly couples that have been married or going through divorce, and so it snapshots the lives of all these different couples and how their lives are in their relationship. And so Bobby is going through a bit of a midlife crisis in that he hasn't been able to settle down and find the person that he'd like to marry. He's a bit of a commitment phobe, and I think a lot of people can really relate to that, and also relate to the different relationships. He also has got 3 girlfriends, not all on the go at the same time, but throughout, because it's mainly based in his brain, so it's all snapshots from moments of his life. So he has 3 girlfriends as well who pop up throughout the musical as well. There are a lot of differences between amateur and professional theatre, but the main difference is the fact that there's not a lot of money involved in budget. We're using the same professional standard of actors and production team, etc. Time's another big thing. Professionals get to rehearse during the day. They get paid a 9-to-5 job where they can actually rehearse during the day, whereas we do it in our spare time. And so therefore, as a director, I like to extend the rehearsal period longer so that we've got a longer amount of time to polish and things like that. So it does get to that professional standard. Other than that, really, the people that we're getting are graduates from WAPA. The actors that are involved with company are of a professional standard. So there's not a lot of difference other than budget in terms of set and lighting and things like that. So, but we still try to utilise the creative aspects of our production team to get that standard still up there, like as a professional standard. So yeah. I'm reading a book at the moment called Finding Cinderella, and it's based on the roots of arts in WA, and it's been put together by a series of different people, but there's a specific chapter on theatre in WA and how the roots and how it all started. And a lot of when the settlers first came over, they started off doing repertory club because they didn't have the budget that the theatres over in England had, but they had still the same actors, the same professional actors and things like that coming over and doing theatre here. And I feel as though that there's a real stigma on amateur theatre or what we call community theatre now, because really there isn't a lot of difference between community theatre and amateur theatre. If you were to come along and see a show like Company, you would just go, wow, like you could pick that show up and place it in a professional venue and it would still be of the same standard of any other professional show that's on in WA at the moment.